There are 168 hours in every week, and on paper that sounds like plenty of time, but when you factor in working your traditional 40-hour week with sleeping, commuting, running errands, trying to raise a family, trying to cook, clean, and manage everything in between, a lot of people are left with the same question: when is there actually time to live? For decades, the 5-day, 40-hour week was considered the standard for full-time employment, but today's workforce looks very different than it did whenever that schedule became the norm. Now employees are balancing careers, families, education, and countless other responsibilities outside of work. 100 years ago, this was popularized with the goal of giving employees more time to rest and recharge and spend quality time with their families. However, the demands of modern life have changed significantly, and many people find that even 2 days a week are not enough time to catch up. I know personally I find myself wishing that I had more time every single day, or sometimes wishing I could clone myself so that I could get everything done. And I know I'm not the only person that's ever experienced this. I'm not the only person in this room that's ever experienced this. So I believe that employers should consider adopting the 32-hour, 4-day work week because studies show that it will improve employee well-being, maintain or even improve productivity, and create a healthier work-life balance. Today I'll discuss how this 32-hour week can improve employee wellness. Then I'll discuss just how productivity is affected. And finally, I'll discuss how it creates a better balance between work and home. To understand why employers should consider the 4-day week, first we need to look at how employee well-being is affected. Reducing our time spent at work from 40 hours to 32 hours is shown to reduce burnout. Employees experience less stress because they have an extra day to take care of personal responsibilities without sacrificing their evenings or weekends. Things like doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, or taking your car in to get the oil changed doesn't have to be squeezed into a lunch break or require taking time off work. Instead, employees have the flexibility to handle those responsibilities on their extra day off, leaving more time to actually rest and recharge. Employees could then return to work more refreshed instead of already exhausted. There was a study published in 2023 from a company called 4-Day Week Global that showed 39% of staff felt less stressed and a 71% decrease in employee burnout. This change could also improve mental health. The American Psychological Association has published mountains of research showing how chronic workplace stress and burnout are correlated with poor mental health. Moving to a shorter week can also lower levels of anxiety and emotional exhaustion, give employees more time to mentally recover before returning to work, and create more overall satisfaction with life. A 32-hour week also provides better work-life balance. It offers more quality time with family and friends, lends more opportunities to exercise, attend appointments, and complete household responsibilities. Employees can then spend their weekends actually enjoying life instead of being forced to play catch-up for 2 days. And as someone who's constantly trying to figure out ways to fit 80 hours worth of tasks into 18 hours worth of day, I know that I could use the extra time. Reduced absences from work are also a benefit to be made note of. Employees would have that extra weekday available instead of having to take sick time and vacation time just for regular responsibilities and routine obligations. And you might be thinking, well, this sounds great, let's work. Well, let's take a look at what the research says about productivity in this 4-day model. Working fewer days doesn't necessarily mean getting less done. A shorter work week encourages better organization. When employees know that they have one less day to get things done, they become more intentional with the way they spend their time. Meetings become shorter, unnecessary tasks are reduced, and employees prioritize the work that has the greatest impact. I know I've worked at several different places where people run out of things to do halfway through the week, and then they spend the next 3 days just trying to look busy in front of their bosses. Employees are more focused during the work week. Employees who are well rested tend to have better concentration, improved decision making, and higher levels of engagement. And instead of counting down the hours until the weekend, they're more likely to stay focused and productive throughout the day. One of the strongest pieces of evidence is from that 4-day global study that I mentioned earlier. It involved 61 organizations in the UK, and 92% of the companies involved in this study chose to continue with the 4-day model because after the trial, productivity increased while employee well-being improved. The 4-day global published studies in 2022 as well, involving the US and Ireland, and 96% of those companies chose to continue with the 4-day model. So far we've seen that the 4-day work week can improve employee well-being while maintaining productivity. But there's one final question to answer. What's in it for the employers? Well, it turns out it's quite a bit. The benefit to employers seems just as substantial as the benefit to its employees. A 4-day week produces employees who feel valued, have a healthier work-life balance, and are generally more satisfied with their jobs. Happier employees are often more engaged, more motivated, and more likely to produce higher quality work. Lower turnover is also a major perk of this, because hiring people is expensive, training people is expensive and time consuming, and the biggest cost being losing experienced employees who don't feel valued in their current jobs. When employees feel supported, they're more likely to stick with their current employer. And speaking of hiring and training, a company is guaranteed to stand out in the job market with a 4-day work week, because job seekers today value flexibility almost as much as they value salary. Improved morale is another major draw to the 4-day week. Employees who have adequate time to rest and recharge often come back to work with better attitudes and have stronger relationships with their coworkers and superiors. A positive workplace culture can improve teamwork, communication, and again, overall job satisfaction. When employers invest in their employees' well-being, everyone benefits. 4-day work weeks aren't simply about working less, they're about working smarter. And as I've shown today, a 32-hour 4-day work week has the potential to improve employee well-being, maintain productivity, and create a healthier work-life balance. We've seen that 4-day weeks can reduce burnout, help with productivity, and provide meaningful benefits to employers through happier employees, lower turnover, and stronger recruitment. So maybe the question shouldn't be whether or not we have enough time. Maybe it should be, how do we have to spend that time? If employees can accomplish the same work in fewer days while improving their productivity and improving their well-being, maybe it's time we start measuring the success by the quality of work instead of the quantity. The traditional work week has served us well for almost a century, but maybe now it's time we ask if it can serve us even better.